Most people imagine Alaska as beautiful. Endless forests, snow-covered mountains, crystal-clear rivers, wildlife untouched by civilization. They're right. But beauty isn't the same thing as safety. I've spent most of my adult life working as a forest ranger in one of the most remote sections of Alaska. Thousands of square miles of wilderness. No towns. No roads. No cell service. Just trees. Millions and millions of trees. When something goes wrong out there, help doesn't come quickly. Sometimes it doesn't come at all. I learned that on my very first day. The ranger station sat alone beside a frozen river. A weathered wooden building surrounded by endless forest. The nearest outpost was over 70 miles away. When I arrived, the senior ranger, a gray-haired man named Cooper, handed me a folder. Every new ranger received one. The cover simply read, "Wilderness Operating Rules." I expected safety procedures, bear encounters, weather emergencies, things like that. The first few rules seemed normal enough. Then I reached Rule 4. Rule 4: if you hear whistling in the forest after sunset, return to the station immediately. I frowned. The next one was even stranger. Rule 5: if you encounter a person standing between trees and they do not move, do not approach. Then, Rule 6: if a missing hiker returns after dark, do not let them inside until sunrise. A chill crawled through my chest. The final two rules were worse. Rule 7: never follow voices calling your name from the tree line. And then, Rule 8: if you see something taller than the trees, it has already seen you. Run. No explanation followed. No context. Just run. I looked up from the folder. Cooper wasn't smiling. In fact, he looked uncomfortable. "Be serious." I laughed. Nobody else did. The other rangers remained silent. One actually looked away. That should have been my warning. For nearly a month nothing happened. The wilderness behaved exactly as expected. I tracked wildlife, maintained trails, assisted hikers, performed search and rescue operations. Normal ranger work. Then winter arrived. Everything changed. The sun disappeared earlier each day. Darkness lasted longer. The forest grew quieter. Animals became harder to find. Even the birds seemed reluctant to enter certain areas. Then came the first disappearance. A solo backpacker named Trevor Mason. 32 years old. Experienced outdoorsman. No medical conditions. No survival concerns. He vanished 3 miles from a marked trail. The search lasted 4 days. Nothing. No footprints. No equipment. No body. No evidence. It was as if he simply ceased to exist. Eventually the search was suspended. The wilderness won. Again. That happened more often than people realize. But what happened next? That was new. 3 nights after the search ended, I was working alone inside the ranger station. A snowstorm hammered the windows. The forest outside had disappeared beneath darkness and blowing snow. Around midnight I heard knocking. 3 slow knocks. My stomach tightened. Nobody should have been outside. Not in that storm. The knocking came again. 3 more knocks. I approached the door. Then I remembered Rule 6. If a missing hiker returns after dark, do not let them inside until sunrise. My pulse quickened. The timing felt wrong. Too wrong. Then a voice came from outside. "Help me." The blood drained from my face. It was Trevor Mason, the missing backpacker. I recognized his voice immediately. Another knock. Then another. "Please." Silence filled the station. I slowly stepped toward the window. Against my better judgment. Against the rules. Outside stood a man. Trevor. At least he looked like Trevor. Snow covered his jacket. Ice clung to his beard. His head hung slightly forward. Motionless. Watching the building. Waiting. My pulse hammered. Then I noticed something. He wasn't breathing. The air temperature outside sat well below freezing. Every exhale should have produced visible condensation. There was none. My stomach dropped. Then Trevor slowly lifted his head. And smiled. A wide, unnatural, impossible smile. The knocking immediately stopped. The storm seemed quieter now. The entire forest felt silent. Then Trevor spoke again. Only this time his voice sounded wrong. Like several people speaking at once. Let me in. Every instinct screamed at me. I backed away from the window. The smile widened. Then something moved behind him. Deep within the trees. A shadow. Massive. Far taller than any human. My blood froze. The figure stepped between two spruce trees. And kept rising. 10 feet. 20 feet. 30 feet. Its head disappeared above the tree line. Rule 8. If you see something taller than the trees, it has already seen you. Run. The giant silhouette stopped moving. Even from hundreds of yards away, I knew it was looking directly at the ranger station. Looking directly at me. Then every light inside the building flickered. Once. Twice. 3 times. And outside. Trevor Mason began laughing. Trevor Mason laughed. The sound didn't belong in a human throat. It echoed through the storm like several voices speaking at once. Men. Women. Children. All layered together. The smile on his face stretched impossibly wide. Then the giant shadow behind him moved. The tree swayed as something enormous shifted its weight deep in the darkness. My survival instincts took over. I shut off every light inside the station. The room plunged into darkness. For several seconds I stood perfectly still. Not breathing. Not moving. Waiting. The laughter continued outside. Then came the knocking. 3 slow knocks. Again. 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 The sound continued for nearly an hour. Then suddenly stopped. Silence returned. The storm remained. The forest remained. But whatever stood outside was gone. I didn't sleep that night. None of us slept much after encounters like that. At sunrise I stepped outside. The snow around the station looked untouched. At first. Then I saw the footprints. My stomach dropped. Trevor's tracks approached the building from the tree line. That much made sense. What didn't make sense was where they ended. The print stopped 6 feet from the front door. Not turned around. Not continued elsewhere. Just stopped. As if something had lifted him straight into the air. I immediately called Cooper. 2 hours later the senior ranger arrived by snowmobile. The moment he saw the tracks, his face hardened. You saw one. It wasn't a question. I nodded. Cooper stared toward the forest. Then toward the frozen tracks. He looked exhausted. Like a man reliving a nightmare. Finally he sighed. You're coming with us. My pulse quickened. Us? The old ranger motioned toward the garage. 3 snowmobiles sat waiting. Other rangers loaded supplies. Weapons. Emergency gear. Satellite equipment. This wasn't a routine patrol. What happened? Nobody answered immediately. Then Cooper pointed toward the tracks. We found more. The word sent a chill through me. An hour later we entered the wilderness. The storm had passed. Fresh snow covered the landscape. The forest stretched endlessly beneath a grey sky. Everything felt dead. Silent. Wrong. After nearly 10 miles we reached the search site. My stomach tightened immediately. The clearing looked strange. Hundreds of footprints covered the snow. Human footprints. Dozens of different sizes. Dozens of different directions. Yet according to official records, nobody had entered this area in months. The prints belonged to missing people. I knew that before anyone said it. Then I noticed something worse. Every track led toward the same place. The tree line. Nothing came out. Every set of footprints entered the forest. None returned. A younger ranger named Ellis swallowed nervously. They keep appearing. Cooper nodded. Every winter. My pulse accelerated. The old ranger crouched beside one trail. Then pointed. Look closely. I examined the footprints. At first they appeared normal. Then I noticed the spacing. The stride length wasn't human. Each step covered nearly 7 feet. No person could walk like that. Not through deep snow. Not while leaving perfectly normal footprints. My stomach twisted. Something wasn't adding up. Then Ella spotted movement. Everyone froze. Far beyond the clearing. Near the trees. Someone stood watching us. A woman. Thin. Motionless. My pulse jumped. She looked familiar. Very familiar. Then I remembered why. Missing persons report. 3 years ago. A hiker named Rebecca Lang. Declared dead after a month-long search. Yet there she stood. Watching us. Exactly as she appeared in her photograph. Not a day older. Not a day changed. Then she smiled. The same smile Trevor wore. Every ranger immediately looked away. Nobody approached. Nobody called out. Nobody moved. Rebecca remained standing between the trees. Perfectly still. Then another figure appeared. A man. Then another. And another. My blood ran cold. The forest edge slowly filled with people. Missing hikers. Hunters. Campers. Tourists. Dozens. All standing motionless. All smiling. All watching us. The clearing became silent. Even the wind seemed to stop. Then one of them spoke. A little girl. Missing since 1998. Her voice carried clearly across the snow. He's awake. My stomach dropped. Nobody replied. The girl tilted her head slightly. Then smiled wider. He knows you're here. The forest exploded with movement. Every missing person vanished simultaneously. Gone. Just gone. The tree line stood empty once again. Several rangers cursed. One nearly dropped his rifle. Then the ground shook. A faint vibration rolled beneath the snow. Everyone felt it. My pulse hammered. Cooper immediately stood. We're leaving. Nobody argued. The old ranger looked genuinely afraid. That terrified me more than anything. We hurried back toward the snowmobiles. Then Ella stopped. His face had gone pale. He pointed toward the forest. I followed his gaze. And immediately wished I hadn't. Something stood beyond the trees. Something enormous. Only part of it was visible. A leg. An arm. A section of torso. Yet even partially hidden, the thing towered above the forest. Hundreds of feet tall. Maybe more. The spruce trees reached only its waist. My mind struggled to process the scale. The giant silhouette remained motionless. Watching. Then slowly. It bent down. Like someone examining insects. The earth trembled beneath us. My pulse exploded. Then I heard whistling. A single note drifting through the forest. Soft. Distant. Unmistakable. Rule 4. If you hear whistling in the forest after sunset, return to the station immediately. The problem was, it wasn't sunset. It was noon. The moment Cooper heard it, every color drained from his face. Move. Nobody hesitated. We ran for the snowmobiles. The whistling continued. Growing louder. Closer. Following us through the trees. Then something terrifying happened. The whistle changed. It became a voice. A familiar voice. My voice. Calling my name from deep inside the forest. And before I could stop myself, I turned toward it. What I saw between the trees changed everything. I turned toward the voice. It was a mistake. The moment my eyes left the snowmobiles, I knew it. The forest suddenly felt different. The sounds of the other rangers faded. The wind disappeared. Even the cold seemed distant. Only the voice remained. My voice. Calling my name. Softly. Patiently. From somewhere between the trees. Come here. My pulse hammered. I knew I should look away. I knew I should keep moving. Instead, I took a step forward. Then another. The voice sounded so familiar. So natural. Like listening to a recording of myself. Behind me, Cooper shouted something. The word sounded muffled. Far away. Like he was speaking through water. The forest swallowed everything else. Only the voice mattered now. Only the voice felt real. I stepped between the trees. Immediately the temperature dropped. A sharp chill spread through my chest. Snow crunched beneath my boots. The voice continued deeper ahead. Always just out of sight. Always a little farther away. Then I saw someone standing among the pines. My heart nearly stopped. It was me. The same face. The same uniform. The same gear. My exact reflection. The double stood perfectly still. Watching. Smiling. Not the wide, unnatural smile worn by Trevor and the others. This smile felt calmer. More patient. Like it already knew something I didn't. Every instinct screamed at me to run. Instead, I froze. The double tilted its head slightly. Then spoke. Using my voice. You shouldn't have looked. A cold wave passed through my body. The copy slowly pointed downward. At the snow. At first I saw nothing unusual. Then I noticed the footprints. Thousands of them. Human footprints. Covering the forest floor. Every direction. Every size. Every age. My stomach tightened. The tracks weren't visible from a distance. Only now. Only here. Then I realized something horrifying. None of the footprints went back. Every trail moved deeper into the forest. None returned. The realization hit me like a truck. The missing people hadn't vanished randomly. They had all walked here. To this place. The voice spoke again. Look. The copy pointed toward the ground. A crack ran between the trees. A narrow opening hidden beneath snow and roots. My pulse accelerated. The opening descended into darkness. Far below. Much farther than it should. I slowly approached. And immediately wished I hadn't. There were stairs. Ancient stairs. Stone stairs. Carved deep beneath the Alaskan wilderness. My stomach twisted. Nothing about it made sense. No maps mentioned underground structures. No reports. No archaeological discoveries. Nothing. Yet the staircase clearly existed. And judging by the footprints, people used it constantly. The copy smiled. They go below. A chill crawled up my spine. Then the double looked toward the forest. Its expression suddenly changed. Fear. For the first time, it looked afraid. My pulse quickened. What is it? The copy stared into the trees. Then quietly answered. He's coming. The earth trembled. Every tree around me shook. Snow cascaded from branches. The vibration felt enormous. Ancient. Like something impossibly large had shifted beneath the wilderness. Then the whistling stopped. Complete silence followed. The copy stepped backward. Toward the staircase. Its fear deepened. You need to leave. What is down there? The double looked toward the darkness below. Then toward me. And answered with 3 words. The first ranger. My blood froze. The first ranger? What did that even mean? Then the trees began moving. Not swaying. Moving. Entire sections of forest bent outward. As if something massive was forcing its way between them. The ground shook again. Harder this time. And suddenly I understood. The giant silhouette we saw earlier wasn't walking through the forest. The forest was growing around it. The thing had been standing there the entire time. Hidden. Watching. My pulse exploded. Then I saw part of its face. Far above the tree line. A pale shape emerging from snowfall. An eye. The size of a house. Looking directly at me. The sight nearly stopped my heart. The copy immediately grabbed my arm. Its hand felt ice cold. Run. The eye blinked. And every footprint surrounding the staircase suddenly began glowing beneath the snow. Thousands of tracks. Thousands of missing people. Thousands of victims. The forest erupted with voices. Hundreds. Thousands. All speaking simultaneously. Missing hikers. Lost hunters. Dead campers. People who had vanished over decades. Their voices echoed from beneath the earth. Not dead. Not alive. Something else. Then they all spoke the same sentence. One sentence. One horrifying sentence. He's counting again. The eye remained fixed on me. Watching. Studying. Measuring. Then the ground beneath the staircase cracked open. Darkness spilled upward. And from somewhere far below, I heard footsteps. Not one set. Thousands. Ascending. Coming toward the surface. Coming toward me. The copy's face went pale. For the first time, genuine panic filled its eyes. Then it whispered something that made my blood run cold. The ones who come back aren't the missing people. The footsteps grew louder. Closer. The copy tightened its grip on my arm. And finally revealed the truth. They're what comes out. The staircase exploded with movement. And something began climbing toward us from below. Something climbed out of the darkness. At first, all I saw were hands. Dozens of hands. Human hands gripping the ancient stone staircase. My stomach twisted. Then faces emerged. One after another. Men. Women. Children. Hundreds of them. The missing. Every face I'd seen on old posters. Every person from decades of unsolved disappearances. They crawled upward from beneath the earth in complete silence. Not speaking. Not blinking. Just climbing. The sight was somehow worse than if they had been monsters. Because they looked almost human. Almost. The copy beside me tightened its grip on my arm. We have to go. I couldn't move. I couldn't stop staring. The crowd continued emerging from the darkness. Far more than should have fit beneath the ground. Thousands of missing people. An impossible number. Then I noticed something horrifying. Their eyes. Every single one of them had the same eyes. Dark. Empty. Reflective. Like black mirrors. The same eyes. No matter their age. No matter their face. The realization sent ice through my veins. These weren't people. Not anymore. Then one of them looked directly at me. A young man. Maybe 20 years old. His face seemed familiar. Then I remembered. Search and rescue report. For years ago. Missing during a winter storm. Declared dead. Yet here he stood. Watching me. Then he smiled. The same unnatural smile. The same expression Trevor had worn. The same expression every returned hiker wore. And suddenly the entire crowd smiled too. Thousands of identical smiles. The sight nearly broke me. The copy pulled me backward. Hard. Finally my legs obeyed. We ran. The forest exploded with movement behind us. Branches snapped. Snow erupted from the ground. The missing people poured from the staircase like a flood. Yet they didn't chase us. They simply watched. Waiting. Like they already knew where we would end up. The earth shook again. The giant eye above the trees remained fixed on me. Watching every step. Measuring. Counting. Then the copy spoke. You need to know the truth. My pulse hammered. We moved through dense forest. Far away from the staircase. Far away from the crowd. Yet I could still hear footsteps beneath the ground. Thousands of them. Moving below us. Following. Then the copy stopped. Ahead stood an enormous stone structure hidden among the trees. My blood froze. The building looked ancient. Far older than anything that should exist in Alaska. Massive wooden beams. Weathered stone walls. Collapsed watchtowers. The ruins stretched across an entire hillside. I stared in disbelief. What's this? The copy looked toward the ruins. Its expression darkened. The first station. A chill crawled through my chest. What station? The answer came from behind me. A familiar voice. Cooper. I spun around. The old ranger stood at the edge of the clearing. Snow covered his coat. His face looked exhausted. But not surprised. Not even slightly. Like he'd expected this moment for years. The copy stepped away. Giving us space. Cooper slowly approached. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. The rules are older than the government. Silence filled the clearing. The old ranger stared at the ruins. Then continued. Older than Alaska. My pulse accelerated. How? Cooper sighed. Then he pointed toward the structure. The first rangers lived here. The word sounded impossible. The building looked ancient. Centuries old. Maybe older. Then Cooper revealed the truth. Long before modern ranger stations. Long before maps. Long before roads. People still protected this wilderness. Not from bears. Not from weather. From something else. Something beneath the forest. Something beneath Alaska itself. My stomach tightened. The old ranger looked toward the mountains. Far beyond the tree line. Then quietly spoke the name. The first ranger. The earth trembled. Even saying the title seemed wrong. Dangerous. The copy immediately looked nervous. My pulse hammered. What is it? Neither of them answered immediately. Then Cooper finally spoke. It's the one that counts. Those words hit me instantly. The voices beneath the staircase. He's counting again. The giant eye. The missing people. Everything connected. Then Cooper pointed toward the forest. Toward the endless wilderness stretching beyond sight. People think Alaska is empty. A pause. It isn't. Another pause. Something lives here. The old ranger's face became pale. Something older than humanity. My stomach twisted. Then the copy added something worse. It doesn't eat people. I looked toward him. The copy's expression held genuine fear. It remembers them. A cold wave passed through me. Suddenly everything made sense. The returned hikers. The copies. The smiling faces. The thing wasn't hunting humans. It was collecting them. Recording them. Preserving them. Like specimens. Like memories. Then the ground beneath us shook violently. Everyone stumbled. A deep sound echoed through the wilderness. Not a roar. Not a scream. A footstep. One gigantic footstep. My blood froze. The tree swayed in the distance. Entire sections of forest bent outward. Something massive was approaching. Then another footstep followed. Closer. Much closer. The copy looked terrified. Cooper immediately grabbed my shoulder. We're out of time. The old ranger pointed toward the ruins. Toward a massive stone door hidden beneath collapsed debris. The answer is inside. My pulse accelerated. What answer? Cooper stared directly into my eyes. His expression was the most serious I'd ever seen. The reason the rules exist. Another footstep shook the forest. Closer. The giant eye appeared again above the trees. Watching. Waiting. Then something impossible happened. Every radio carried by every ranger in Alaska activated simultaneously. A voice echoed through the wilderness. Ancient. Deep. Impossible. And somehow, it sounded happy. We found the last one. The copy's face turned white. Cooper closed his eyes. And I finally realized the terrifying truth. The thing wasn't counting the missing people. It was counting us. And it had just finished. We found the last one. The voice echoed across the Alaskan wilderness. Every radio. Every emergency channel. Every communication system. The same impossible message. The same ancient voice. And somehow, it sounded relieved. My blood ran cold. The giant eye remained above the tree line. Watching. The forest trembled beneath another colossal footstep. Closer now. Much closer. Cooper grabbed my shoulder. Inside. Now. The old ranger practically shoved me toward the ruins. The copy followed behind us. Snow swirled through the clearing as we reached the massive stone doorway hidden beneath the collapsed structure. For a moment I hesitated. Then another footstep shook the earth. The decision made itself. We entered. The door slammed shut behind us. Darkness swallowed everything. For several seconds the only sound was our breathing. Then Cooper switched on a flashlight. The beam illuminated an enormous underground chamber. My stomach tightened immediately. The walls were covered with carvings. Thousands of them. Human figures. Trees. Eyes. Footprints. And one recurring symbol repeated everywhere. A giant silhouette towering above a forest. The same shape I'd seen between the trees. The same thing watching from beyond the wilderness. The first ranger. The chamber stretched deeper underground than seemed possible. Ancient stone pillars disappeared into darkness. The place felt impossibly old. Older than the United States. Older than recorded history. Maybe older than civilization itself. Then I noticed something at the center of the chamber. A table. Not a normal table. A map table. Carved entirely from stone. My pulse accelerated as I approached. The surface displayed a map of Alaska. Every mountain, every river, every valley. Perfectly detailed. Yet something was wrong. Tiny markings covered the landscape. Millions of them. Small dots etched into the stone. My stomach dropped. What are those? Cooper looked exhausted. Like a man finally carrying a burden to its end. Then he answered. People. Silence filled the chamber. I stared at the map. The markings stretched across the entire state. Every location. Every region. Every wilderness area. Countless lives. Countless dots. Then I understood. The thing beneath Alaska had been counting people for centuries. Not years. Not decades. Centuries. Perhaps longer. Every explorer. Every hunter. Every trapper. Every hiker. Every ranger. Recorded. Catalogued. Remembered. The copy stepped closer. His expression darkened. It remembers everything. A chill ran through my chest. Then the earth shook violently. Dust fell from the ceiling. Stone cracked somewhere above us. The giant footsteps had reached the ruins. My pulse exploded. Something stood directly outside. The first ranger. Then a new sound emerged. A slow scraping noise. The stone door behind us began opening. Not outward. Inward. Something was pushing its way inside. Cooper's face went pale. It's here. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. The doorway widened. Darkness filled the entrance. Then a figure stepped through. For a moment my brain refused to process what I was seeing. The first ranger wasn't a monster. Not exactly. It looked human. At least partly. A forest ranger. An impossibly tall forest ranger. Hundreds of feet high. Its uniform appeared ancient. Older than any design I'd ever seen. Trees grew through parts of its body. Roots wrapped around its limbs. Entire sections of forest seemed attached to it. As though the wilderness itself had become a living thing. Then I saw its face. And my blood froze. It had no eyes. Only darkness. Endless darkness. Yet somehow I knew it was looking directly at me. The chamber became silent. Then the giant figure spoke. Its voice echoed through stone. Through earth. Through my bones. You are the last. My pulse hammered. The last. The phrase suddenly made sense. The missing people. The returned hikers. The counting. The radio transmission. We found the last one. The thing hadn't been counting victims. It had been counting rangers. Generation after generation. One after another. Waiting. Preparing. Then Cooper stepped forward. The old ranger looked tiny before the enormous figure. Yet he showed no fear. Only sadness. You don't need him. The first ranger looked down. The chamber trembled. Then it answered. I do. Those two words felt heavier than mountains. Then the truth finally emerged. The first ranger wasn't collecting people out of malice. It wasn't hunting. It wasn't feeding. It was dying. The realization hit me instantly. The wilderness. The forest. The memories. Everything connected. The thing remembered every life that entered its domain because memories were all it had left. It had existed so long that reality itself was forgetting it. The people it counted became anchors. Proof that it still existed. Proof that it had once been real. Then the first ranger looked directly at me. And suddenly I saw everything. Thousands of years. Ice ages. Ancient migrations. Lost civilizations. Every human who had ever crossed Alaska. All stored within its memory. All preserved. Not prisoners. Witnesses. The weight of those memories nearly crushed me. Then the giant figure spoke one final time. When the last ranger is counted. The chamber shook. The wilderness ends. Silence followed. The meaning hit me instantly. The rules. The stations. The generations of rangers. They had never existed to stop the first ranger. They existed to keep the counting complete. Because as long as one ranger remained uncounted, the thing would continue sleeping. Waiting. Remembering. But now it had finished. It had reached the final number. Me. The last ranger. The map table suddenly cracked. Every marking began glowing. Millions of lights across Alaska. Millions of remembered lives. The wilderness outside roared. Trees bent. Mountains trembled. Reality itself seemed unstable. Then Cooper did something unexpected. He smiled. The old ranger looked tired. But peaceful. Then he reached into his pocket and removed a small notebook. The original rulebook. The first one ever written. He placed it on the map table. The moment it touched the stone, the chamber exploded with light. The first ranger froze. The glowing markings flickered. Then began disappearing. One by one. Millions of memories released. Millions of counts erased. The giant figure staggered backward. For the first time. It looked afraid. Cooper turned toward me. Every rule had one purpose. The old ranger smiled sadly. To help people leave. The first ranger reached toward us. The chamber shook violently. But it was too late. The memories were gone. The count was gone. The anchors were gone. The giant figure slowly dissolved into drifting snow and mist. Its body breaking apart. Its forest unraveling. Its ancient shape fading into nothing. And as it vanished, I heard one final whisper. Not angry. Not hateful. Lonely. Thank you for remembering me. Then it disappeared. The chamber fell silent. The shaking stopped. The giant footsteps ceased. The wilderness became still. For the first time in thousands of years, Alaska was empty. 3 years have passed since that night. The ranger stations still operate. The rules still exist. Officially, they're called historical procedures now. Nobody follows them anymore. Most people think they're old folklore. Campfire stories. Nothing more. Maybe that's for the best. But sometimes, during the long Alaskan winters, I stand at the edge of the tree line and listen. Most nights I hear nothing. Just wind. Just snow. Just silence. But every now and then, I could swear I hear distant footsteps deep in the forest. And for a moment, it feels like something is still counting.